Certainly wall-to-wall football this fall on ESPN. We're so excited to have all these Sunday night games and 2-hour NFL countdown and primetime leading into a game every week, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It shall be fun. Well, Miami, then Denver as we wrap up the first round. And a pretty quick pace first round, actually. Now, as Miami is on the board, Mel, let's look at your board and look at just value as the Giants did. They saw Sean Williams, hey, he's the best value guy. We take him. If Jimmy goes value, what does he do?
Well, I think Corey Chavis, Jimmy wants guys that have a lot of recovery speed. That's not a need. I think when you look at guys down the line here, Bob Hallen, because of his versatility, he's more of an early to mid two. I think Brian Kelly, like I said, is a corner safety. Leonard Little could be a defensive end in Jimmy's scheme, but he's not that big. Stott's a defensive tackle. Kreutz is interesting because he's Jimmy's kind of center. He's an attacker. He can be there for 10 to 12 years. Cleveland really helped himself, but of course Jimmy's okay at tight end. So that's some of the value. I think an Olin Kreutz at this point, a guy that can play 10 to 12 years at the center position. Jimmy's thinking now, though, and center is an area on that offensive line, Joe, that he would like to maybe upgrade.
I mean, you know, you can also throw out the possibility of a Jaquez Green. I mean, here's a guy who's a big-time receiver. He's a big-time receiver, little guy, real quick. But again, play with Ike Hilliard. I mean, you've got a guy who can really make plays, and I think that's what Jimmy wants to do. He said he wants to change the offensive philosophy a little bit in Miami. Kippy Brown's taken over as the offensive coordinator, likes to run the football. That may tend you to think, okay, maybe he wants to go to the offensive line, but you're still going to have to put points on the board. Dan Marino is his quarterback. Dan Marino got very little help from the wide receivers last year. That's why everybody went after him. Now maybe if you can put a little quick guy out there, it may help the situation a little bit. There are obviously a lot of possibilities here. Nobody has a clue what Jimmy's going to do, and Jimmy wouldn't want it any other way.
No, but you know what? I'm glad you brought up Jaquez Green's name, because I think we may hear some trade calls early in the second round. Some of the teams who are contenders down low in the second round want to move up because he's unique, albeit very small player. Bobby Beathard told me about Jaquez Green, Joe. It's like Darryl Green. The guy's so good, I don't care how small he is. You know, that ended up being a pretty good pick.
Well, you take a guy like, you mentioned the name of Darryl Green. In my opinion, Darryl Green is the type of a football player. Given the opportunity to have been a kick returner in the National Football League, he would have been, without question, the all-time greatest kick returner in this game. Guys that can accelerate to get to top speed so quickly are invaluable in the return game. You know, Jimmy just keeps moving around and getting an idea of what he wants to do.
You know what Jimmy does? Jimmy always is looking to maybe acquire some of those extra 3s, 4s, and 5s, yes, where he turns into Zach Thomas's and Jason Taylor's and Hope fillers. So, you know, Jimmy's going to work it. If he's got 3, 4, or 5 guys bunched together, he'll slide into the early second round. So he's got a lot of options here. But when you get down to this point, if you look trading down, Jason Peter was off the board. Greg Ellis off the board. So the guys that Jimmy was really targeting with that pick were gone. So it was a wise move already to move down and pick up an extra 2.
Or do we have our first huge curveball?
I think we do. I think the curve has come.
Here it is.
Could even be a knuckler.
With the 29th pick in the first round, the Miami Dolphins select running back from Mississippi, John Avery.
That's a Tuberville connection we talked about yesterday.
You know what? We did mention that size. Why not, right?
Tommy Tuberville had told me about a month and a half ago, said, hey, John Avery's a heck of a back. People say he's not a guy who runs tough between the tackles, but hey, we designed our offense to take advantage of his game-breaking speed to the outside. He needs to work on his hands. But what Jimmy wanted, and Tommy said this when I talked to Tommy Tuberville, he did a great job at Ole Miss. Speed. He wanted somebody from 0 to 5 yards that could get into that hole and go to daylight, break into that secondary, something they don't have, not put all that pressure on the offensive line to sustain their blocks. And I think John Avery, with that 4.35 speed, I think he can really run. I think he is a game breaker, very elusive. You watch him, you see, and I don't want to say it, but I'll say it. Barry Sanders, a little bit of that style.
Yeah,
style, I said.
Well, here's the question
that creative, when you see him in the open field, kick returner. Now here he is, going the distance. Look at the speed. And you see the acceleration, the moves.
Is he Warwick done? That's the question.
Well, Warwick runs tougher between the tackles. For a little guy, Warwick's not afraid to mix it up and get those tough yards between the tackles that you have to get in the NFL. I know Mike Godfrey and I debated that yesterday. Mike said, hey, you know, in the Marshall game, in the bowl game, Motor City Bowl, you know, he really showed that was a problem, running hard up inside. I mentioned that to Tommy Tuberville. He said, no, it's the design of our offense. So, you know, Jimmy rolled the dice with a speed back, a home run hitter.
Well, speed is what Jimmy Johnson has always coveted. It's what helped make the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl champs. He doesn't have that much of it in Miami. He does now. Let's go down to Chris Mortensen in Miami very quickly. Mort.
Well, Chris, always speed. And yeah, Warwick Dunn is kind of a name that comes up. They are looking for a third down back. They have moved Jarris McPhail to wide receiver. And one thing you can see, Jimmy talking on the phone, something he always does is talk on the phone to the guy he's going to pick because, number one, he wants to make a couple points. Welcome him to the team. Number two is he wants to make sure the guy's signable, and he wants a commitment to the offseason program. And look for Avery to fill that third down back row for Dan Marino and Jimmy Johnson. Let's go to Chris Fowler up in Bristol.
Mort, thank you very much. Ron Jaworski, Mike Godfrey joined me. John Avery, a guy that when opponents played Ole Miss this past season, defensive coordinators, Mike, had to account for Avery. They just were terrified of the big play that he brings as a special teamer as well. A great return guy.
Well, he can fly. I'll tell you, a high school sprint champion that dislocated his elbow in the first ball game, missed the next two, then came on strong for the Ole Miss football team. Has great balance and feet. You're just going to see him keep moving up the field. Almost slips. You see the little wiggle he's got right there, and then he's off and running. He's got touchdown speed, Chris. Every time he touches the ball, Ron Jaworski, he's got a chance to take it the distance. This guy can fly.
Not the rugged inside runner. We talked about this yesterday. You don't expect him to get tough inside yards, but as a special teamer, he's a threat.
And kickoff return ability, Chris. He can go the distance carrying the football and kickoff returning, and here he shows again getting to the end zone. He's got a feel to making the big play, and I think the biggest thing about him is the band director at college always has to be ready to hit that stick when he touches the ball because it's time for the instruments up, fight song.
And that's an ingredient that's been lacking in Miami, Jaws. There have been much explosive offensive playmakers in that. You said Dan Marino a second ago. He's a happy guy with this
Well, I'm
pick.
all excited because Mike got me all excited, so Marino's got to be all excited because he's got Avery in his backfield. So it all fits together. And the one thing the Dolphins have lacked is a playmaker. They haven't had a guy to make big plays for him. So let's see how they're going to make big plays with our pre-play. Here he would line up right here. There's John Avery. If Green comes back, along with O.J. McDuffie, they'll draw the double coverage. That's going to open up these areas of the field you see right there. Well, how do you get to those? Well, here's the matchup. And football is a game of matchups. You have now got John Avery, quick as you can find him against the linebacker. Now, the play that works, attacking the zones, you got him matched up against this linebacker running down this seam. What Dan will do is fake the draw in here, drop back, hold that linebacker, wide open area of the middle field. This is a guy that could run, could catch, and as Mike said, get the band started. It's a touchdown. Dan Marino's got to love this guy. He'll put points on the board. They have a playmaker in Miami. Jimmy Johnson's got to be happy. Bob Ackles is looking for this kind of player. Hey, maybe Marino gets some more years out of that career.
And an Ole Miss player makes it 9 out of the SEC. The power of the Southeastern Conference being displayed here in round one.